everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am exposing myself. Not in that kind of way. I read a lot of books, but quite often I start books and then for whatever reason, I literally don't know, I just stop reading them. So I've got a massive stack of books that I've just found around my room of books that I've started and never finished. So we're just going to go through them and expose me for being an absolute moron in a way. Let's start with as far back as I can remember. The first book that I DNF'd, but it wasn't my choice. It's a controversial one because I should not have been reading this when I was reading it. Don't know how it happened. I was at school, I was in like year 5 or 6. But that is Franz Kafka's Castle. I started reading this way too young. I was enjoying it, I think. Allegedly. And then one day it disappeared out of my classroom. Obviously why? Because this is just not appropriate for kids to be reading. So this is like one of the first books that I started reading and I haven't finished, and I've never returned to it. I will at some point. I just think it's hilarious. And in a way, it's kind of obvious the way I am is the way I am because of stuff like this. Reading weird books and watching weird movies way too young. I just think it's hilarious, really, isn't it? Also, at secondary school, I did start reading 1984, and I never finished it. It wasn't this copy, it was a school copy, so I have no idea how far I got in it. But yeah, classic. By all accounts, should be my thing, and never finished it. The Poetic Edda, started reading it, I think in like 2021 or 2022 at the beginning of the year. Never finished it. I am slowly working my way through it currently though, so it's still like a currently reading. Sandman, volume 4. Got halfway through it, stopped. It might have been because I was like, you know when you binge something, like a show or something, and then you've just consumed too much of it and then you need a break? I think that was the case with that. Like I literally read 3 Sandman comics all in a row, watched the show, and then I was just like, oh, I've got Sandman fatigue. I don't know. The Wheel of Time, book 1, The Eye of the World. Where did we get up to? Chapter 11, 148 pages in. And then one day just stopped reading it. Neuromancer, 62 pages in. Should be my thing. Cyberpunk, hackers, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, like, I don't think I could get into it, or it just wasn't what I expected it to be. The Rings of Saturn by W.G. Sebald, 112 pages. So this is like a non-fiction. It's basically W.G. Sebald walking along the coast of Suffolk, thinking about things. I started reading it. I was enjoying it. Like, it's just nice to hear the musings of a great writer, just thinking about stuff. And like, as he's going to different places, he then links it with other stuff. And it's just like, this is how the brain works. Like, just these musings that come about just because you're alone with your thoughts. It's brilliant. I love it. Why haven't I finished it yet? Murakami's The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. I think this is like one of the most devastating cases of started reading it, was enjoying it, then hasn't picked it up. I swear, like, one of my first booktube videos is me talking about this book or that I've started reading it or something. And I got to page 398 and then one day just put it down and then didn't pick it back up again. The Birds by Tarjei Vesaas. How many pages in? 42 pages. This is a Norwegian classic, I think. Yeah, it's just like a almost pastoral story about 2 people, I think brother and sister, who live in the mountains. And the brother is deemed simple by the villagers, and his sister has to sacrifice a lot of things to help raise him. An interesting character study. Why did I start it and not finish it? This one pains me as well. Outlined by Rachel Cusk. It very much is a book that I would love, and I was loving it. Page 58. It's like a story told through conversations, and I just love structural things like that. Like encounters and how you're like dropped into different scenarios with different people, and beautiful, sensational. Need to finish it. Oh, talk about beautiful, sensational. Italo Calvino's Cosmocomics. Gorgeous stories about theories or truths about space. I think I've read, I can get away with this, I think, because with short stories, I think it's easier for you to dip in and out of them and get away with not reading them for ages. Like, I started reading this a couple of years ago and I haven't gone back to it yet. But I think one of the most beautiful stories I've ever read is the first one, and I think it's the most famous one out of the collection, which is The Distance of the Moon, which is, it's just like a fairy tale that will melt your heart. And it's just so pretty, lovely, joyful, playful. And then there's like this unpronounceable character in it, like QFWFQ. So is that like yeah, it's palindrome. But an entity that just goes around space and it's magic stuff. So inventive, so unique. Why haven't I finished it? I love Italo Calvino. I don't understand. A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. This was on my autumn TBR, which I failed. We all know I failed that because I never revisited it. I think I read like 2 or 3 books from it, but from autumn all the way up to the end of the year. I started reading this and I got to page 30 and I just wasn't in the mood for it. And I think that's the problem I have, is I start reading loads of books and then just the mood to read drops off, or I get distracted by something else, or I just put it down for a little bit too long and then it becomes intimidating to pick it back up. But yeah, again, this should be something I love because it's cannibalism, which is just interesting. It's weird, it's freaky, it's interesting. Into the Miso Soup by Murakami. There's a lot of Murakami on this list, but this is the other Murakami, which I kind of feel sorry for him. Like, he's overshadowed by Haruki Murakami. But yeah, this is like essentially a tour guide is taking this American guy around Tokyo and then he starts to suspect that he is a serial killer. Interesting stuff. Where did I get to? Page 28. Kind of been that interesting. I don't understand. Don't know why. Can't explain. Classic. By all means, this should be my favourite classic in existence. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I love Oscar Wilde. I think he's a witty, sensational motherfucker. Page 74. I love Gothic literature. I love poetic writing. I love debauchery and all that stuff. Why haven't I finished it? And I was like making tabs because there was just beautiful writing and interesting things, and then I just stopped. This one makes me quite sad. Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Can't pronounce that in French. This is in French. It's a kid's book. I can't read it. I started reading it, but I can't read it. And then it just makes me sad because I think, oh yeah, I should be able to read this, and I can't. I can understand some of it, but by now I should be able to read this whole thing. Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. Love the Thomas Vinterberg movie, so then I thought, oh, I need to read this. I did start reading it. I haven't got a bookmark in it, but then I just stopped. And then finally, another Murakami. Ichikyu Hachiyon, 1984, but it's got the Q in it. I think it's such a sensational title, because Q is what 9 is in Japanese. So you say Q. So it's Ichikyu Hachiyon. Fun fact for you. Started reading this years ago, haven't picked it back up. I did take the bookmark out, but I did get quite far into this. But again, I don't know why I stopped. I was enjoying it. I thought it was interesting, like the 2 different characters that we explore in this novel, the weird stuff that starts happening. By all means, I should have read it already. And I think that's everything. So should we just quickly count how many books I have? 15, 16, 17. 17 books that I've started reading and I've never finished. That doesn't actually seem like that much. But I might try and set myself the challenge to see how many of these books I can read before the end of the year and let you know whether I can finish them or whether, again, like I try and read them and I just get to a point and it's just like, it's not working. So yeah, I thought this would be just a fun way of taking accountability for the fact that I'm an idiot and I start reading so many books and just never finish them. So yeah, I don't really know what else the purpose of this video is. I just thought it'd be funny to expose myself and my just really shoddy reading habit. Thanks for watching, I guess. Let me know in the comment section whether you've read any of these books and whether you think I should prioritise reading one over the other. And let me know one book that you've started reading and you've just never finished, and let me know why as well, because I'm intrigued. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.